DMZ has had quite a lot of updates since launch, and now we're in 2023. This is an updated best loot spots for DMZ, covering both Al Mazrah and Building 21. We're jumping straight in here with the first spot, but let me know if these are useful for you in the comments below. Feel free to share your own, but we're starting with the Said City Mall. Now, normally you need a key in order to get in, but there is a seriously cool secret shortcut to get in. It guarantees you some rare crates. What you need to do is you need to get a vehicle like a truck and park it right by this open vent. You then want to mantle up into the vent, and as you see, we're going through a secret entrance into the mall, which is extremely exciting. There are going to be a load of tripwires which you have to defuse, otherwise you're going to be downed, and that will be absolutely awful. But once we take out those two right there, you continue along the path, defuse one more, and you'll now be inside the mall without even needing the key. If you take an immediate right through these two sets of doors, there are some secret doors in this corridor which you can defuse, and in there will be some supply boxes. There'll also be weapon lockers where you can find full stocked weapons, and continuing into this room, you're going to find a rare chest as well as more lockers, and from there you can head back out one of the doors to be into the shopping mall itself. Continue looting the entire mall, or you can go into one of the rooms that we just opened, and there'll be a deadbolt that allow you to get outside of the shopping mall. Now, in the room that contains the red crate, there is some stairs that take you up to the second floor of the mall, and there is another set of secret rooms with crates in. But there's going to be a lot of wiring that you're going to need to defuse. There's also a chance of there being claymores. The AI in the shopping mall are incredibly aggressive. This is easily one of the most difficult places to tackle in DMZ due to the AI, so I suggest you get these rooms that I've shown you and then make your way out, because the worst thing is getting all this loot and then dying from stupid AI. Now, this next spot needs no introduction, and every DMZ player is aware of this right now. It still works, and it's still one of the greatest spots, and it's in Sour Village, and it's the hotel room 301 and 302. You do not need a key in order to get into these rooms, and they have some insane loot, and all you need to do is go to the hotel on Sour Village by climbing up the ladder on either side of the building, or going in from the bottom floor and taking the elevator up to the roof. But when you're on the roof, there's going to be 4 skylights. The furthest skylight on the left and right is going to take you into the hotel room 301 and 302. And in there, you got a guaranteed legendary loot crate, as well as a chance of a duffel bag, gold skulls, gold bars, origami horses, encrypted hard drives, lots of weapons, with the right room always having a gold desert eagle. Now, in some of your DMZ runs, this hotel might be a stronghold, but it is only a stronghold for that game. In your next run, it will definitely just be like you see in this video, where it's open and you can go in. As far as I'm aware, they don't have any intentions of changing this, so make use of this if you spawn here. This next loot spot is probably one of the most underrated in all of Al Mazrah, and it's going to be in this top right corner with these 2 buildings, and then the furthest building slightly north. There's a good chance that you'll spawn right near this building. As we make our way through this warehousey building, you will find over a dozen different loot lockers that you can open, giving you cash and other bits and bobs like medium backpacks and documents and other things that you can sell for money, as well as a chance of finding self-revives, as well as stims and weapons. And because there's so many of these lockers, it's pretty easy to just go through and suddenly have a pretty big inventory after a few minutes. So once you're done looting that, make your way over to the adjacent warehouse and start looting there as well. You should have a good amount of items, some decent cash, and a vehicle spawn, so you can make your way to a buy station or over to the third spot in this loot spot, which again is slightly north of the map, which contains a third set of lockers. And after looting all 3, you should have a really good loadout to start off a game of DMZ, especially if you've just died in a previous game and are trying to recover. Now, this next loot spot can be found all over Al Mazrah. I think they're super underrated and something you have to check out, as they have really good loot, and that is the hospitals around the map. They're labeled as medical centers, and we're going to one right here, which is between Rohan Oil and Quarry. But most of the time in the bottom floors, you're going to find a few lockers, as well as the chance of a safe spawning, which there was in this game, which granted me like 16,000 in cash, which is pretty cool. But it's when you head up the stairs and start going through all the different first aid kits on the walls, you're going to find self-revive kits, as well as gas masks, random documents, and revive pistols. And ultimately, these are so useful to be checking out every time you pass them, as you can never have too many self-revives. And in this particular spot, if you come outside and go right across the road, you've got this ambulance where you have the same thing, where you can potentially find self-revives and stims. Then these tents, which are also medical tents, that also have equipment such as stims, gas masks, and the like. If you're passing one, definitely check them out. Now, this next spot is incredibly underrated and one of my favorite spots to go in DMZ, and it's these. You're going to be looking for Al Mazrah Bank Building. There are tons of these around the map, but in this example, I'm going to be showing you the one in Al Mazrah City. And the moment you come into here, you're going to find money, you're going to find documents, you're going to find lots lots of stuff, but it's the first and second floor. You're going to find around about 6 different office rooms, and inside every one, you're going to be finding cash. You're going to be finding hard drives, encrypted hard drives. Once you've cleared both floors, you should have a ton of cash. Both floors have a bathroom with a first aid kit, which can also have self-revives. Definitely don't ignore these if you're driving past them, because they can have a ton of cash. Now, another spot I really love in Al Mazrah City, which I see a lot of players ignore, is the Yum Yum Burger in Al Mazrah City right here. It's right by one of those UAV towers, but there are a ton of cash registers which you can loot to get yourself a ton of money very, very quickly, very, very easily. There's also a ton of fridges behind these cash registers, which contain a lot of wines. You've got cheap wines, normal wines, but you can also find the really expensive wines, which are 6,500 each. And if you're doing any contracts involving getting wines, then this is the place to go. Once you're done looting, you can just go to a buy station and sell all of the wines that you got. Add that to the cash that you got from the registers. You'll have a ton of money early on. And as you can see, I have 14 grand from just looting Yum Yum Burger. Now, the next spot in Al Mazrah I'll be showing you is in this building in Sarif Bay. Now, this won't always have a ton of loot, but as you see now, this is one of the runs where there was a disgusting amount of rare loot crates for you to find. This is one of the most important rooms in this whole villa section here, which is the kitchen. And again, if you're looking for those specific wines to use for a contract or just to sell, you've got a ton of fridges in here. You've got a ton of rare crates. And there's some other very unique rooms in here, like a laundry that can have rare loot, as well as the bathrooms potentially having crates and loot for you as well. There's not really a lot of good stuff in Sarif Bay, but this is definitely one of the buildings that you should check out. Let's take a break from Al Mazrah and talk about Building 21. It's a much smaller map than Al Mazrah. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have its own really good loot spots. So we're starting off with the hospital, which you can find on the 3rd floor. And one of the quickest entrances to it is from the C3 staircase, which takes you through this back entrance into the hospital. But in here, you're going to find a ton of self-revives, cash, and other really good loot. But the importance is self-revives, just like with the hospitals in Al Mazrah. Now, if you're unaware, there's also a series of side rooms that you need to unlock once the security has been deactivated, and one of these is the core lab. You can find this on the 3rd floor, and these sets of doors will have a prompt for you to unlock and open. And once you get inside here, you'll be in this sort of glass square, which is in its own elevated platform that everyone outside on the bottom floor can look up and see players inside. But this place is amazing because you'll find rare loot chests guaranteed, and there's a chance that there'll be a safe as well. Every time I've come in here, there's always been a safe, so it's definitely worth coming here just to see what sort of loot you can get. That's not the only room I recommend. There's another room called the generator room, which is going to be situated by the blue door, and it's on the bottom floor opposite the server room. Once you unlock it, you're going to find a few AI in there. You can find them wielding riot shields, so be very careful. But in the middle of that room, you can also find some crates, as well as the potential of there being a safe. If you make your way to the 2nd level of Building 21 and go into office storage, there's going to be a room that you can unlock, which will take you into a small office, and opening that door will get you into the archives. This is again going to have quite a bit of AI, but there's going to be a few loot chests for you in here, and there's a great chance of finding large backpacks, as well as 3-plate armor vests. And then obviously one of the best loot rooms in all of Building 21 is going to be the armory, which you have to unlock in the server room on the bottom floor by going up to this specific server terminal and holding your interact to hack it. And once that is completed, you can make your way up to the top floor. If you follow the laboratory floor along to the left side, eventually you'll come across this door here, which will be open, and inside you will be in the armory room, which is going to have the best loot. You're going to find durable gas masks, gold skulls, rare loot chests, duffel bags, and the safe of all safes, which will contain the weapons case, which if you extract successfully will give you one of 6 unlockable rewards. For the most part in Building 21, there is just a ton of great loot everywhere, but you should prioritize these locations I showed you, as you don't need key cards to access them, and they normally always have great loot. But back over to Al Mazrah, this next location is going to be a pretty sneaky one, and you're going to want to have some good equipment for it, and it's going to be underneath the center of Rohan Oil. It's going to be a denied area called the access tunnels, and there are going to be a couple of extremely aggressive AI, as you see in this footage. The riot shielders are absolutely no joke. So it's definitely recommended to go in with a team, as well as having equipment that is best suited to taking out riot shielders. If you make a way around this main road tunnel that leads in, there's actually some secret entrances. There's a little ladder with a small section that can take you into the tunnels as well, where you'll come across more AI, but you'll also come across where most of the loot can be found. There's going to be 2 rare crates around on this section, and there's going to be 2 rare crates on the opposite side with a control room. It also contains more crates, but this was such a hot area of AI that as a solo player here, I genuinely did not want to risk dying just to show you it because I had no armor. But trust me, this is a really good place if you are kitted enough for it. Now, keeping with Rohan Oil, this next section is going to be right on the outskirts of it towards hydroelectric. There's going to be these series of multi-floor buildings where you're going to find a ton of lockers in. Now again, like with the lockers that we showed you in Al Mazrah, this is a very quick way to get a ton of loot and money very quickly, because all this stuff stacks up pretty quick, and you have about 4 to 5 of these buildings to search. So if you've just spawned near here and you're looking for backpacks, you're looking for weapons, you're looking for random items that you might need for one of your missions like bandages, definitely check it out. But our final spot for this video is going to be in these sets of huts near the Satiq Cave complex, and these things are full of crates. We've got normal crates, we've got legendary crates, there's also a ton of first aid boxes. You can find revive pistols, self revives, and because there's so many huts, there are so many different things that you can get. And by the sheer amount of huts there's naturally going to be a lot of crates that you'll be able to loot. Now this is right by a restricted zone, so there's going to be a lot of AI that are going to be hot on your tail. Just keep that in mind, but there is so much loot to get here that is definitely worth having a look. If you're feeling brave enough to go into the upper caverns and the underground caverns of this cave, you're also going to have a chance at good loot, but I definitely would recommend that you are kitted before doing so, as the AI here are going to be at the highest level possible. They're going to be extremely difficult, and I would honestly not really take the risk. Now, if you've been playing DMZ for a while, you might be surprised to see that I've not mentioned Terminal on this list, and that's because they have reduced the amount of crates that spawned by Terminal, so it's no longer really a best loot spot, unfortunately. And I would also recommend the train, but that has now become a really risky thing to do in DMZ, as most players are very aware that the train has good loot, and so if it's passing them, they're very likely going to be looking and watching the train to see if there are players that they can potentially take out.